Alright, so time for part 2 of the how to transform 3D objects tutorial series. Alright, so the first thing I ask you to do is delete these guys. So one quick and easy way to do that is if we click on the rectangular selection and then we left click and drag over all 3 of these guys, you'll see we get a dotted line. If we let go, that selects all 3 of them, and then we can click delete at the same time. So for this exercise, I ask you to make a teapot at the origin, give or take. And if we're talking about making sure our object is centered at the origin, we can do that real quick, just like we did in the previous exercise by clicking on the Move tool and making sure our values for X, Y, and Z are all 0. Alright, so here is our teapot. Now, one thing that I'd like you to notice is that if we go up to the top and we click on our rotation tool, which is what we're going to work on next, that the gizmo changes as soon as we switch over. So it's no longer that set of arrows, now it's a set of rings that are centered around the teapot. So, just like before, we have our X, Y, and Z values on the bottom of the screen, and one of the first things I'd like for you to do is see what happens to the teapot when we adjust those values. So what we're going to do is we're going to work with the Y, and I would like for you to notice that the Y is actually pointing away from us. So you see there's kind of a mini version of the gizmo in the corner of our viewport as well as in the teapot itself, and that's kind of a helpful visual aid for us, and you'll see in a moment why I say that. So I ask you to type in 90 for Y and to hit enter and take a look at what happens. We can see that by typing 90, our teapot is rotated 90 degrees around the Y axis. Okay. Now if we put a minus sign in front of that value of 90, take a moment to think about what might happen, and then let's see. Alright, so it is basically rotating it 90 degrees in the opposite direction. Okay, and if we take a look up here at the front view panel, you could see 90 degrees of rotation. So I am going to put it back at 0 and move on to the next part of the tutorial here. So you can adjust values down here, or you can click and drag on the different rings. So if we click on this one here, you can see the little coordinates that pop up above the teapot are showing us that we are only affecting rotation in the Z direction because our Z value, which is the third value, is the only one that's changing. And then I'll put that back to 0. Likewise, if we rotate about the x-axis, same thing. The x value, which is the first in the set of coordinates, is the only one that's changing. Once again, take that out. And last but not least, y is a little harder to grab from this point of view, but same thing, we can rotate about the y-axis, and we see that the middle coordinate, which is the y-coordinate, changes that way. So one thing I ask you to consider as I was doing this is, what do you think the measurement is for these 3 coordinates? Angles are measured in what? I'll let you think about that. Okay, so that is the rotation tool. So the next video we will focus on the scale tool and what we can do with that, and that's it. See you soon.